Kia ora, Chris here. I thought before 2018 was out I'd have a quick run through some of my favourite records from the year, my favourite Kiwi records of the year. First up, The Beths, Future Me, Hates Me. Great indie pop record, power pop record. There was a great description I heard of this from the spin-off where they described it as a record that you didn't know you needed to hear until you heard it, harking back to these kind of clean vocal, clean guitar sound, great catchy pop songs. It's an album full of hooks, and it's been getting a lot of attention nationally and internationally, but yeah, it's a favourite of mine for 2018. Also in an indie pop, indie rock vein, two other great records. Carb on Carb's For Ages, I think is really strong, came out earlier in the year, and some great material on here. And also from earlier in the year, This Is Glue from Salad Boys. This is their second LP, and perhaps a little more kind of varied in pace than their first, and some really great indie guitar material on here as well. Also on the pink vinyl. What's playing in the background is this. This is Hex, The Hill Temple. Great crunchy bass guitar riff based material on here. Really, yeah, saw them live and was really impressed, and the record backs it up. Yeah, like I say, nice big riff monsters. From Dunedin's Fish Rider Records, who put out Shifting Sands 7-inch this year. They put out a CD from Steph Animal and two albums on vinyl. Death in the Maiden's Wisteria, and this one just kind of pipped that for me. This is the self-titled LP from Bad Sav. This is kind of shimmering shoegaze beauty. Really, really love this stuff. Bad Sav on Fish Rider. Stefan Neville and Greg Malcolm. Nuance is the name of the LP, and this probably gets the nod as my record of the year. The two of them sitting around a fire, improvising on tunes they both know, some traditional jazz stuff, some old blues stuff, some kind of 60s pop songs like Sonny and Cher's. The beat goes on, and yeah, it's drony, improvised, experimental. And apparently there are more tapes of this material. I'd love to see it released. It's out on Feeding Tube. A really intriguing record. Another intriguing record, Dystopia, Rough Art of the Spiritual. This came out on Monkey Killer. They do very limited lathe cuts on vinyl. New Zealand guy Nigel Braddock runs this. He's based in Germany. I think there are only 20 copies of this cut. This is kind of poetry, ambience, found sound, in some places redolent, is that the word? Well, in some places reminding me of Laurie Anderson. And yeah, I think it's just some really interesting material on this. Dystopia. Probably my favourite 7-inch of the year, the Hell You Picassos, a return from them after many, many years hiatus. Voices of One, which wouldn't be out of place on the Oh Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack. It has that kind of chain gang rhythmical sound to it, and the B-side, a remake of one of their classic tracks, Black Spade Picasso Core. That's out on 112 Records out of Auckland, who do great stuff. They also put out this, Weird Days from Vincent H.L. Great kind of garagey, slightly Stones influenced material. He was a member of Magic Factory, who did a kind of slightly more Stones influenced record last year, which was also a standout. 112, consistently great. Another label, along with Fish Rider 112, have been putting out really great stuff every time, is Coco Muse. They put out the LSD Fundraiser LP, which are two long, kind of drony, experimental noise pieces earlier in the year, which I love, and also this, Negative Nancy's, You Do You, Dunedin 3-piece, really kind of prominent drum and bass and the guitar vocal. A couple of the tracks on here remind me a little of Public Image Limited's Flowers of Romance, which is a great record. So is this. They're really strong stuff. Negative Nancy's. Sarah Mary Chadwick has been putting out these great kind of melancholic records for the past few years. She used to be in the New Zealand grunge band Bat Rider. She's been based in Melbourne for a while doing these solo records. I think this might be the fourth. Sugar Still Melts in the Rain, and I just think she gets stronger and stronger. There's a track on here, It's Never Okay, which just knocks me out. Probably my song of the year. This is, yeah, it's kind of melancholic. It's, I don't know, she's kind of working through all sorts of demons and things on here, but yeah, what a great record this is. A bunch of reissues. There's been so many reissues, and so I just wanted to touch on a few which really kind of struck me. This came out for Record Store Day, Unitone Hi-Fi, Wickedness Increased, a complete re-edit of this record to be released on vinyl for the first time from Unitone Hi-Fi, New Zealand 90s dub at its best. Sony have been doing, and was it Warner's? Sony, one or the other, have been doing a bunch of reissues of 90s material and early 2000s material. The Beck Runga, Super Groove, Shea Fu. They got some criticism for some of those releases, and you know, I was amongst those criticising them, to be honest. But the Dimmer, I Believe You Are a Star one, I had to eat a hat, eat some humble pie. This sounds great. It's been remastered for vinyl. They did drop one track to fit it into the vinyl running time, and I still think it would have been good to have a double LP with some extra tracks, but nonetheless, this is great, looks fantastic, sounds fantastic, and it is an absolute New Zealand classic album. Dimmer, I Believe You Are a Star. And also on reissues, Sandra Bell's Net, her 1994 LP, out on vinyl for the first time in 2018, collecting a couple of singles here as well to make it a double LP. Jesus, great material on here. A bunch of fantastic Dunedin musicians from that era of the 90s supporting her, great songs, and yeah, that kind of, you know, people like members of the 3Ds and other Dunedin bands of that era on this, so it has a great kind of guitar sound to it. There's a couple of things here which have been on lots of people's lists, which probably you know, deserve to be recognised as some of the records of the year, but I just haven't really had time to absorb them. They came out late in the year and they're big pieces, but I thought I'd mention them anyway. Orchestra of Spheres, Mirror. Yeah, I've only had a chance to listen to this a couple of times. I like what I hear so far. I think it's a strong record, just need to give it some more time. And this one here, Avondale Bowling Club, which has just been acclaimed. And again, I've only had time to dip into it, and this is a record, because it's so, the lyrics are so central to it, you really need time to sit down and absorb it and listen to it, and I just haven't had the chance over the holiday season. But yeah, I think this will, in time, be recognised as one of the records of the year. So that's, yeah, there's heaps more I could have put in there. You know, if I picked out the list this afternoon, it might be a little bit different. But that's some of my favourites of 2018. Thanks for watching, thanks for tuning into the radio shows. You can check all of that at facebook.com/countingthebeat, mixcloud.com/countingthebeat, and I'll be back next year with more great New Zealand music on vinyl. I had to slow it down a little bit this year. The upside of that was it meant I had money to replace my turntable and get a really great turntable in the house. This is the sleep out here. So I'll be back doing more next year. Cheers, have a good one.